Hello, everyone, and a very warm welcome to today's AI Chamber webinar. It's fantastic to see you, so many of us joining here today. I am Agnieszka Gosztyła, responsible for growth and partnerships at AI Chamber, and today we are tackling one of the most critical, yet often misunderstood, frontier of modern technology, the new dimension of cybersecurity in the age of AI and automation. As AI accelerates development, it also creates the gaps. To help us navigate this complex landscape, I am absolutely thrilled to welcome our experts guests today. So, today with me there is Krasimir Kotsev, CEO, Angel Sirakov, Head of Marketing, and Martin Malinov, Head of Product from Kikimora and SoCyber. Guys, welcome here today. SoCyber is a pioneering AI chamber member from Bulgaria, and they bring immense practical experience in building this and securing modern AI-driven systems. So great to have you here.
Hi, Agnieszka. Thank you very much for the chamber, for the invitation, and for the warm welcome. Indeed, we have the pleasure to be here and talk about AI today. We'll try to disclose as much information as we have from our experience and professional career. So, just to bring some light, what SoCyber and what Kikimora means. SoCyber is a cybersecurity consulting company which is specializing also in cracking LLM implementation. So, on the one side, we're going to talk about the importance, how important is the security for the LLM implementations. However, we also have our own development, AI development in the face of Kikimora, where we're trying to help small and medium-sized organizations and growing startups to secure their digital environment. So I have with me today Martin Malinov, who is head of Kikimora. He is very, very much on pair with the NA10 implementations, MCP, and pretty much all the AI connector stuff going on right now. And I also have Angel with me, who is going to talk about the future of AI, the implementations, use cases for the business, and so on. Of course, we're going to welcome the questions after the session. Angel will be the first one to introduce the theoretical concepts and the beauty of AI, and then I'll share a bit of our reading of AI and what we did so far.
Great. Thank you very much for this intro. But just before we dive in, just a quick few words about what AI Chamber is and why we are unique. So actually, we are the only European community dedicated solely to empowering SMEs from Central and Eastern European region to adopt AI practically, responsibly, and commercially. But we don't do it alone. We bridge the gap between innovative SMEs, leading academic minds, and powerful corporate partners to make a real world impact. So becoming a member gives you the unique access to representation. We are strong voice influencing AI policy and national European consultation. Second, the knowledge, so exclusive legal updates, case studies, and insight focused on SMEs challenges. The third is connections, like for example this one. So an CE-wide network of leaders meeting at business breakfast, roundtables, working groups, and also online meetings. And of course, education. So practical workshops and program tailored that you may real-world challenges, and of course, webinars like this one. So if you are not a member and want to shape the future of AI in CE, I encourage you to join us. I will share my LinkedIn profile and email in the chat. So let's connect. Now, just for the end, a few words regarding housekeeping. So this session is being recorded. It will be visible on LinkedIn. So whenever you want, you can always jump in and see it once again. We will have about 45 minutes of discussion and then followed by Q&A session. So as like Krasimir mentioned, drop your questions in the chat anytime and we will address them at the end. So I think that's all from the information things. So let's go straight to the practical cases. So Krasimir, Angel, Martin, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Agnieszka. Thank you for the introduction and for the kind invite. I will start first for something that we need to take a look at, which is an overview of the lay of the land in the AI at the moment, right? As we all know, the AI field has been growing rapidly, and we essentially have seen a lot of revolutions when it comes to managing work and the way that we operate our software and cybersecurity operations, right? So first of all, just to highlight what are the biggest changes, right? The majority of work has been done manually before the execution of before the release of GPT models and so on. And since ChatGPT came out in 2021, a revolution has occurred in the way that we deal with most of the tasks, right? But with switching the tasks back from manual to automated, we also move the responsibility, right? So who is responsible, who's going to take care of different types of both security and operational challenges. And one of the things that we see is that the majority of people either do not automate properly or don't take the right measures to essentially deliver secure and effective results with their automations. To understand the challenges and have a general overview, we split, let's call it, separate different types of automations in three specific vectors. These vectors are low risk, medium risk, and high risk. And this depends on the level of integration into your current workflows. Now, for the example of this presentation, I give you three very popular ways to automate and to essentially use AI in your daily routine. Most popular one probably is Nathan or N8N, depending on the way that you pronounce it, right? N8N is a platform that allows you to automate majority of business processes and also comes pre-compliant, which means that you can rely on your processes being easily reported, logged, and essentially communicated to the government or to the responsible parties. And unless you are working with classified data, N8N is relatively safe. That being said, N8N also has a cloud version and an on-premise version. From a cybersecurity standpoint, on-premise version obviously will be more secure, but it depends on the use case. We highly recommend using open source tools and local hosting where possible. Just an extra layer of protection, and you also have full control over the way that you operate, essentially. The second one, in the development field, this is the most popular one, cloud. As you guys know from news and from your own development, cloud at the moment is considered the platform with the most or the most effective, I would say, code execution, a lot of tools such as skills and other things which allow you to essentially better operate your development lifecycle. Now, with the coding execution, there are several things that cloud does correct and several things that they are unable to maximize, such as your cybersecurity. Even though they are SOC compliant and ISO compliant via their own platform, Tropic has licenses and so on. When you execute code, the end result of the code cannot be considered compliant before having the necessary checks. And also, if you want to be AI compliant with the EU Act, you will need to perform a lot of documentation and different types of actions to actually secure your development. And the third one, the highest risks, obviously, and most value. People consider the open cloud integration. This is something which actually is a new field. After OpenClaw was purchased by OpenAI, a lot of competition is coming out. It seems like automation on the level of operating system will be something which a lot of people are interested in, and we consider this the most dangerous one. Why is that? Because the local operational agents such as OpenClaw have full access to execute different types of actions on your operating system, which means access, authorization, authentication, and essentially the ability to expose your whole system. The way that we recommend using this is on separate devices, most popular of which is the Mac Mini. So if you have a Mac Mini of the new generation, you can fully operate or automate specific services, go to market most often, a lot of public data happening there, and also some cybersecurity actions can also be automated using this. You should be on high alert if you're implementing something like this, and you should definitely consult with the security company if you don't have the expertise for an enterprise setting. Now, the way that AI is working, core motivators will be the ones defining what is the future of AI. I split them in three because I believe these are the three most common ways, or I would say most common steps that happen when you are developing AI. First of all, obviously, you need to have a theoretical understanding, and then you need to have a way to execute your vision, which means you need to be able to apply what you want to achieve. Now, something that is often overlooked is the financial part, the way that we make decisions and most companies make decisions about AI is, does it make economic sense to implement AI instead of people, or do we need to showcase AI implementations to highlight the future of our company, which is mostly linked to financial decisions in the AI market. Even if something is theoretically possible, the application layer might not have reached the required innovation level, or I would say reliability level. So some things might be theoretically possible, but not yet be applicable. When you are creating your strategies for the long-term development of your company, I recommend checking what will be coming up in a year or what will be coming up in several years before you start planning your cybersecurity strategy, because you will need to consider the time of you actually building your product and what will be the challenges when things come online, live in production, rather than what are the attack surfaces, attack vectors right now. Now, to highlight one of the core components, let's say, of danger when you're automating, I've just picked up one of the common recruitment flows in N8N. Now, this is a very effective flow. A lot of companies are using it for their automation. And this is how it looks from a standpoint of automation. There are different steps. We have multiple connectors, APIs, webhooks, and different types of third-party vendors. When you have something so complicated, from a standpoint of execution, it looks simple. But when you look at it from cybersecurity perspective, it looks much more complex. Every single step, let's just look at a couple of steps here. When you have connected, for example, Airtable, there is the chance of a third party abusing API calls, for example, for applications. Or there is a chance that someone is trying to maliciously input CVs which do not follow your requirements, or they can try to trick it with a pixel in a PDF. There are many different vectors, and we highly recommend to explore the full spectrum of every single block or node, as they're called, before you put this into production. So this is just one example, but there are many probably in similar settings. Let's go for a personal assistant, for example, something which also is a common use case of AI, and not only on N8N, but also on OpenClaw and other similar platforms. Personal assistants have the highest optimization capabilities. Let's say if you want to automate any task, you can use a form of automation. And again, either with N8N or another platform like make.com, you can create something like this. But again, when we zoom out and we try something from a cybersecurity perspective, it actually looks more like this. Again, we have a third-party access control from Telegram, which allows the API to call your own data. You have a data exposure from your own database, which ChatGPT has access to. And then you have tasks that you create with your Google Workspace, which allow from indirect prompt injection, which means that someone with language model can interpret the actions that Google can take and take different actions that actually change the flow to make your company more vulnerable. Now, when we look at what is happening in AI and the way that what are the important facts, people usually focus on innovations when it comes to performance, or innovations when it comes to new skills, or when it comes to new abilities of the how do you call it, the models. But one of the components which is often overlooked is what is the actual rule set. How does AI operate in the wild? And these are some news which you might not have heard or might not have heard, but are very important. First of all, 11 Labs, members of AI Chamber, as far as I know, they have secured the first AI agent insurance, which means that agents can perform tasks as employees. And this is the actual revolution. It's not about only the AI itself, but it's the way that we operate AI in a regulated environment, deliver value, and make sure that everything is following the steps with the way that a usual employee would do. Again, EU regulations come first. So some of the things that you need to do when you're implementing AI is make sure that you're technically and documentally following the EU AI Act and some other relevant regulations. And the third one, this probably is a new segment for the, I would say, global segment, and that is the commerce. OpenAI will bring ads and commerce straight to chat, and this will create a whole new level of both automation, business management, CRM optimizations, and will create a whole new attack surface. Before I pass to Krasi and Martin, I just want to say that when we think about new innovation or the way that AI is being implemented, it's often overlooked that with automation, the main thing is that you need to make sure that you plan accordingly in the future, because if you start a process for a complex AI product and 1 year later you find something in your initial scope which is wrong or a mistake, it will be very hard to fix. It will dramatically increase the cost of your project, and also it will add some security considerations which you might not have considered in the beginning of your product. That was from me. Thank you. If you have any questions on the business side or in the way that we think about strategic AI, please ask in the FAQ and I will answer. I'll pass it to you, Krasi.
Thank you, Angel. So from what I hear, basically a lot of people vibe call things, right? But not many of them can secure the things using vibe security. So today I'm going to show you how you can actually vibe secure, if I can call it this way, your application implementation or AI development. This is something that we've been trying to do for, before I start my presentation, just a quick heads up. So why we're doing this, basically. We are a cybersecurity consulting firm, which means that we're dealing with security weaknesses, vulnerabilities, misconfigurations, cold security issues, and so on. You name it, cloud security issues on a daily basis. Over the years, we have more than 450, 500 projects. Each one of them contributing to the cybersecurity posture, the huge attack surface that we see on a daily basis. I would just mention the average number of vulnerabilities per system. It's usually between 20 and 80. So you can imagine an organization with 5,000 IT assets. That's a huge amount of data. Even with 50 assets, you still generate huge amount of vulnerability data. And also, it's very important that when you're doing code development, when you are developing an application or you're building an infrastructure, you need to focus on the different verticals of cybersecurity, which means that on the one side, you have code security, which is analyzing, finding security issues during the whole CI/CD pipeline, during the development of the software code. Then let's say you produce an application, it's already running in production. You need to make sure there are no vulnerabilities in the production application, but also you have APIs, so you need to secure the APIs, and then the cloud infrastructure, and then the underlying servers, you need to make them compliant as per NIS2 or DORA or whatever other regulation demands that you secure your systems, or maybe you have to be PCI compliant. So each one of these represents a different vertical in cybersecurity. And a lot of people, they believe that by running a vulnerability scanner, that's it. We don't have to do anything else, right? This is not the case. Unfortunately, you have to do a lot of other activities that you cannot even think of. So many different security initiatives. So that's why at some point we were fighting with vulnerabilities on a daily basis, like assessing, trying to help companies to remediate, assigning to the corresponding people, analyzing which is exploitable, which is facing internet, which one is a 0-day, and so on. So that this takes so much time and it's so expensive. And then at some point we said, okay, is there a way that we can leverage AI to build something that will help organizations to secure their infrastructure or applications by themselves without having to pay IT cybersecurity companies for professional services, which actually is cannibalizing what we do in SoCyber. But is there a way to help those companies to secure their applications or implementations or infrastructure without the need of cybersecurity experts? And that's why we decided to build Kikimora, which is an orchestration platform. It aggregates all the security findings from GitHub, from your Superbase instance, from AWS, from Qualys, and so on. Basically, you're monitoring the whole application with just a single and simple prompt, just in a simple conversation with the agent. And just to give you the perspective, I'm going to share my screen to show you what I'm talking about. So all right, just let me know when you can see my screen. Can you?
Yes.
Nice. So, for instance, I'm just going to show you. Let's say tomorrow I develop a shop, online shop, which is serving users. I'm selling juice in this example. This is a predefined vulnerable system for the exercise, but actually it's a fully functional application. You can buy some juice. You can on theory you can provide your credit card number. And let's say I'm building this one. I can vibe code it for a couple of minutes with AI, and then I start serving users, and they start visiting. They provide their data, their name, billing information, address, cards, credit card numbers, and etc. So, okay, you can start your business in a minute, but then how do you secure the implementation? And that's why we decided to build this agent, which is basically what can you do for me? I will start with a simple conversation, and then I just want to see what the bot can do for me. And then it's gonna give me all the options. Like I can monitor the attack surface for you. I can show you the internet facing gaps. I can run a full-scale web application scan to show you the application vulnerabilities. I can give you information about pretty much every single asset of yours, which means that I'm also going to connect to Azure or AWS, and I'll pull the information about your assets. What's their location, business function, who is the owner of the asset, what's the current level of security of the asset, what is the compliance rate, and I'm going to give you all this information in a single interface, right, with a simple prompt. And right now, we can already see what Kikimora can do for us. But then let's start with the basics. For example, I'd like to check for public facing issues, for example. Show me the attack surface for the website. And then I'm also picking up the website, right? Because I need to specify what I'd like to do. And this is my website. And then Kikimora, or all the tools behind Kikimora, and that's the beauty of AI. You can connect many different tools in just a single minute. Now imagine if I have to manually go and configure a vulnerability scanner, an attack surface manager, then maybe deploy agents, which is going to give me information about the server. These are different tools in the cybersecurity industry. All these are different tools, subdomain crawling. Right now, I see all the open ports in front of me. It's also identifying all the public-facing vulnerabilities, which one is critical, which one is likely to be exploited, which one is actively exploited by malicious actors on internet. So these are that's different information that you have to obtain from many different tools, not a single tool. And the beauty of AI is that you can use it for whatever your use case is. As Angel suggested, you can use it in your financial industry, you can use it for healthcare data, warehouse logistics, you name it. In our case, we're using it to demonstrate the security of the organization. Right now, in just a simple prompt, I was able to collect information for the subdomains, all the open ports, what's the service running behind, public-facing vulnerabilities with the corresponding risk. For example, we see that there is a critical one. We also see the exploitation probability for each vulnerability based on threat actor data, which means that we're also analyzing the threat actor activity on internet. Let's say if someone from Iran decides to attack Israel right now, or the opposite, they might try to exploit specific vulnerabilities, which are valid for this country, for this industry, in the energetics, for example, the energy sector. And this is active threat intel data that we are also collecting from another tool, and you can see it immediately because of the AI agent connectivity. And now we see there is a lot of vulnerabilities, but I'd like to know more. I'd like to give it the context, because without the context, I'm not sure if you can provide me any usable data. Yeah, by the way, you also see that there is some DNS issues, or it's saying if there is DNS issues. In that case, DMARC is the email policy, which states that no one can impersonate my brand to send me spoofing emails. And I see the risk rating for each finding. But now I'm not able to understand it, right? I'm not a technical person. I'm a business owner, or let's say I'm the head of product or a project manager. I'd like to dig deeper. So can I simplify it by saying this is an online shop? Users are purchasing goods, providing billing details, credit card numbers, and more details. Is there a security concern for their credit card numbers based on my vulnerabilities? And now what the agent is doing, basically, it goes to another tool and it's observing each and every vulnerability that we discussed, and now it will check in the knowledge database whether some of these vulnerabilities have been associated with cybersecurity attacks leading to compromise exfiltration of credit card numbers, or if one of these vulnerabilities allows for, let's say, remote code execution. And then if this is your payment gateway, if this is your payment server, then remote code execution means that we can execute code on the remote server, which means that we can obtain information about credit card numbers, right? So it's right now analyzing the context of my company. I already gave it something. I say, but this is an online shop. So give me the perspective in my case, in my use case. I don't care if this is exploitable in hospitals, or let's say if this can lead to website defacing. I'm concerned about the credit card numbers right now. This is the most important. And what we see, based on the full analysis, which was carried out for 30 seconds, the short answer is there is a high probability scenario where customer payment data could be intercepted, stolen, or compromised. Legal disclosure requirement, it gives me information what I should disclose to my users, what are the immediate contacts I need to reach. If I have this kind of data breach, for example, I'm storing credit card data, which means that I'm PCI compliant in most cases. It also gives me full details about how to harden my server, what to do to remediate the vulnerabilities, in a very understandable language, without complex complex tech stuff. It also can give me this part as well. I can say, yeah, okay, but that's my data input. Can you give me the exact code function, for example, which I need to change so that my user input will be sanitized better, and then it's gonna give me the exact software code which is gonna do it. And also we see that it's checking my compliance rate against PCI DSS. For example, right now it says based on your vulnerabilities, if you are storing credit card numbers, you're failing to comply with PCI DSS. That's it, period. So I definitely don't want to fail compliance with PCI DSS. Or it gives me a very deep breakdown of each vulnerability. What's the risk from this one for the payments industry? For example, this insecure FTP service, which I have on port 21, it allows for credentials to be transmitted in plain text. How much more simple should I see it? No, that's pretty much everything I know. Now with this information, I can say, hey, can you please assign it to my developers? Can you create a ticket? And it will create a ticket because the AI connector also connects to Jira, for example, or ServiceNow. So I can immediately submit a Jira ticket to someone from my team, and I can say, "Hey, can you please take a look at this one?" I know who is responsible for the servers, for the FTP service, who is managing the payment server. I'm just going to assign them a ticket, which is following change management practices. And this because of the help of AI. Without AI, it would take me ages to go to another tool, submit the ticket, document all the findings, the risk, the impacts, the affected asset, and so on. It's a huge burden. So, and also it gives me direct threats to card security, and it says, you know what, this specific vulnerability allows for traffic to be intercepted and man-in-the-middle attacks. In a real-world scenario, when they enter the credit card number, somebody sniffing the network would be able to see the information, would be able to capture credit card number, CVV code. So it makes it so easy, so understandable that even if you're not an expert in cybersecurity, you can still secure your website. Now let's go and do something else. That's the same prompt, the same interface. I'd like to know what are the systems, what are my computers, for example, right? Asset inventory is very important for the organization. So what are my computers? Can you give me this information? Now, the AI connector goes to another agent and it's pulling information for my systems. Of course, I need to have the agent installed and running on my systems to do it. But it's so simple. It's going to immediately retrieve a list of my endpoints, laptops, servers, and it's going to give me all the information about those. In total, I have 5 endpoints. Right now, they are disconnected. It gives me the operating systems. Would you like to view yeah. So can you check one of these for me? Check the hardening status, for example. And now it's going to check the compliance and the security configuration for each one of those systems. And it's going to give me back the information, which one of them is secure and which one is not. And the point here is not to go to the employee which doesn't have security, but and then fire the guy, The point is to educate users. So when I see what are the non-compliant systems, on the one side, I can go and just configure those systems in a way that they will be secure from now on, and they will be compliant as per the regulation requirements. Let's say I have to follow ISO 27001. And then once I configure my systems, they will be compliant against the specific regulation. Now, what I defined in my use case, I want to be compliant against CIS. So it's checking my compliance, and it's saying, you know what, actually, this system has only 31% compliance. You have 264 failed security checks, which means 264 misconfigurations. That's not very good. You need to fix it. And I can deeper. I can go and say, hey, can you please show me how do I fix it? Like, what's the configuration that I need to implement so that I can fix the system? I can check what is the approved software list on my systems. I can check if somebody modified the configuration files of the system. And this in a simple conversation. That's the beauty of AI. For example, let's take this one. Can you show me the compliance or the vulnerabilities for this system? Now imagine if you have to go to the system manually or using the third-party software tool, and then you have to check individually, you have to go on the system login, check the configuration, install some different tools and so on. It's a nightmare. I've been doing this for 15 years already. It's a nightmare. So right now it's listing all the security vulnerabilities for this specific server, an endpoint, mobile device, and so on. And it's beautiful. It's so simple, and I can immediately go to the most critical findings, and I can remediate. Now, just to mention something, because we have AI in the AI, what it means is that because of the smart context, we've actually built a smart context with the help of AI, and we developed something called Kikimora risk score. This is a proprietary model of ours, which actually checks the internet activity, the malicious hackers' activity on internet. It checks the exposure of the systems, the business criticality of the systems, the current security measures applied already on the target system, and a couple of other criteria. And then it gives me the actual risk for the company, because something might be rated as high. However, as per my smart context risk, it's not a high finding. High doesn't high. It means that it's something with great potential to be exploited. However, based on my research, maybe this system is located behind a firewall, it's located in the local area network, or maybe if we're talking about a power plant, maybe this system is isolated from the rest of the world, and that's why this score is getting lower. So it's not a high concern for me anymore. It's a medium one. And now, let's say I'd like to collect all this information and provide it to the management or to a compliance auditing firm, which is performing the regular audit. I would simply generate a PDF or an HTML report with the endpoints vulnerabilities listed above. And then I'm just waiting for the agent to produce a beautiful HTML report with me. For me, right now, if you have to go and create the report by yourself, most probably you're gonna spend, I don't know, 1 or 2 days simply creating the reports, making all the making the fonts, the adjustments, making it beautiful, structured, highlighting everything, the important stuff, deciding which one is important and which one is not, collecting information about all the systems, providing all the evidence, like with screenshots or maybe some data in plain text. But it's going to take you a couple of days to produce the report. Now, also, you need to produce different reports depending on who you're talking to. If you're they're developing a report for the management, for the C-level personnel in the company, then most probably you would like to have an executive report. If you need to develop a report, to produce a report for your code developers, for example, you would like to focus on the software bugs, on the software weaknesses, which means that you need to provide a technical report and then you need to highlight the findings, the specific line of code which is vulnerable, or maybe you need to provide the exact URI. That's like a lot of information that you need to provide. The compliance auditing firm, that's a third report, completely different from the previous two. They would like to know what is the security implementations that you made, what is your cap analysis. They want to know what your business continuity policies, what's your disaster recovery plan, for example. All these things are also very important when it comes to the AI Act. So all these items you need to provide your auditors with this information so that they can say, okay, you're compliant against this and that, so you're green to go, you're good to go, you can start serving users. Or you're not good, you have a lot of issues that you need to remediate. It's going to take a lot of time for you to remediate. So these are a couple of different reports that probably you're going to spend a week or two collecting the information and producing the report. But right now, what was this, like 2 minutes? I already have a fully functional interactive report, which is produced by a third-party software, and because of AI, I was able to connect to the third-party software in just a minute and request the report to be created, where I can see all a full executive summary with the highlighted risk, with the confirmed vulnerabilities, technical findings, which is very important for my technical team, as I mentioned. You see full description, technical impact, and as you see, this is a very well-structured report. It's going to take me a lot of time to refine a manually crafted report. It gives me the remediation steps, the risk rating for the organization, how to fix it, what's the severity, what's the status as well, and so on. So a lot of useful information, and of course the recommendations, what needs to be patched, why is it required, what is short-term actions, and what is long-term security strategy. That's beautiful, and usually you need security experts in your team to produce such a report. And with this, I'd like to hand it over to Martin, because he's going to show you a bit more technical and sophisticated implementations of AI. Again, it's something that we developed with Kikimora, but we developed like more than 30 integrations already with Kikimora. So we're just going to show you what you can do, or of course you can use our solution. Angel already provided the QR code. There is a community version. You can use it for free. If you're a growing company, we support the small and medium-sized organizations, and we believe that they should have access to security without paying millions of dollars. So we have a community version which is free, and you can basically all the things which you saw right now, you can do it by yourself, or you can just take an idea of what we created and you can create something by yourself. So Martin, can you please?
Yep. Well, yeah, you pretty much summarized I would say, the offensive capabilities of the Kikimora agent, but what I'm going to show right now is more on the defense side. So let's imagine this hypothetical scenario that we have some kind of super-based backend which is running on their cloud, and we have vibe coded an application using Lovable or Quody, and we utilize their connectors directly to set up everything for us. So we have our code in GitHub, fully managed by the agent, super-based backend with the database there as well, and everything basically was made to function uh, the application's business logic, which we prompted our way into. So the application is live, the Postgre and Superbase is live. We have some logging, we utilize the internal authentication mechanism provided by Superbase, but we start getting some traffic, and as usually, once the crawlers and automated bots basically discover a new domain with some login forms and post requests to slash login, they usually try to brute force it. We tackle such kind of attacks and attempts for malicious actors to breach in our environment. Well, basically, first thing is that Superbase has rate limiting, so it is implemented again by table row level security, and if you vibe coded the app, the agent should have been suggested this option. I mean, to configure it for yourself. Sometimes they miss it basically. On the other hand, yes, we have rate limiting, but rate limiting usually works based on browser fingerprint, user fingerprint, or combination of those, and source IP address. So what is the case that if we have full-blown attack from, let's say, I don't know, tens of different IP addresses, the rate limit is simply not going to trigger. Why? Because every single attempt to guess the password is sent through a different IP address. So for the application, this looks like a legitimate traffic, legitimate users that just fail to input their password correct. So how do we tackle and what do we do with this one? Basically, the manual way up to now is to go over the logs in Superbase, try to identify basically which of those logs is for authentication, and it comes from the user and not from an internal service. Then deep down and try to find the the source IP address. And if we use Cloudflare, go on to the Cloudflare security rules page and create a rule. So with tens of different source IPs within the matter of seconds, you basically cannot do that, because here you have to select a lot of things, then you have to copy paste the IP address and so on and so on. And for 5 minutes, you're going to block one of the IPs. So how can AI agents help with this one? Krasi already mentioned we are integrated basically with a lot of third-party things, Vercel, GitHub, Sonar Cloud, the cloud providers, Cloudflare, FortiGate for firewalls, network scanners and Superbase as well. So what we're going to do right now is basically instruct the agent to fetch and analyze the authentication logs for our Superbase environment for yesterday, today, and the time frame between today and tomorrow, basically, so we can cover the full picture. So I'm going to prompt it for my Superbase project, fetch my auth logs. So here it's going to get the raw live data that is currently listed within the logs of the Superbase project. If I have a couple of projects, I can manage all of them basically again through the agent. I currently only have one in my account, and it straight on gets the log for this one. So here we see that we have some failed login attempts from this IP address, basically from yesterday, and it was a span of 4-second period. So we have invalid login credentials, single IP, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So this is from yesterday. We want to expand the time frame to check, as I said, for logs between today and tomorrow. So it is going to require again the Superbase API to fetch the latest logs in order to identify if you have something more recent. So yeah, we have some from today, actually more IPs with different locations. Here we can see that another Bulgarian IP address with the span of 4 seconds or 6. 40 failed login attempts, rate limit triggered, basically. What was I talking about? That if there is a single source, the rate limit is going to catch it. But straight after that, I mean, five minutes later, again today, we have another one from AWS source with 6-fold failing login attempts over 3 seconds period time. So we see that there is some kind of attempts going on during the last 2 days. The IP addresses have been changing. We have over 50 login attempts within the last day, which are all from different sources, all within a very short time span, which could indicate um, malicious attempts towards our environment. So what we can do about it? Well, I already said we can basically go over to Cloudflare and just block these IPs entirely. They won't be able to reach our platform at all. So before doing that, let me just inspect what are my current firewall rules and to see if maybe some of them are already present, or maybe I have locked um, some entire countries or subdomains, IP subnets, and so on. So let me list them. So I'm providing the domain because in my Cloudflare account, I manage multiple domains and those are separated. So I'm providing the info for which of my web applications or domains basically I need to retrieve the firewall rules. So yeah, we currently have 2 rules which are blocking entire countries. We block all and drop all traffic from North Korea and from Russia. We can see when they were created and so on and so on. So the next step is basically to add the identified potentially malicious IPs to be blocked within Cloudflare. The AI agent is even suggesting this one for us. Here it is in the next suggested prompt. We can just straight on click it, and it is going to configure the firewall rule on our behalf, and those malicious addresses won't be hitting our web application. They won't be able to reach it at all. So yeah, in a couple of seconds we have the the remediation or the steps. We have the steps to resolve the problem or to mitigate it. If we refresh the page in Cloudflare right now, we will be able to see that we have a new rule that was just created by the agent to block those specific addresses. Yep, here we have it with full-on description. The agent described on our behalf, properly why was the rule created and so on and so on. So if I want to do something more, I can just, I'm curious about the IPs. Let's try to find some more information about them. So basically, I'm going to instruct it to check the IPs with the attack surface management capabilities. We're going to retrieve metadata information about the ports running and the services. So yeah, this is going the last action that basically we're going to take. So check the IPs in the ISM hosts info. So yeah, now we are going to identify basically where they're originating, if there is any services publicly available, if there is associated with any threat actors or malicious groups, and so on. Yep, we have a high risk one, which is maybe a compromised Bulgarian hosted, shared hosting provider asset. We have another one, Bulgarian one, which is basically our domains one, and some others. So in a couple of steps, we were able to investigate potential incident and implement basically mitigation configuration changes to our existing tool stack in order to remediate the threat. So yeah, that's on my side.
Thank you very much, Martin. Agnieszka, maybe passing over to you. We would like to tackle any questions if you have, guys, or maybe recommendations, comments. Yeah. I hope you like what we. Yeah.
Thank you very much. It was really interesting and valuable. So actually, we do have few questions in the chat box. So I will show you them on the screen. Okay, we have a question from Sylvester. Isn't it better, safer, and maybe simpler to use a simple AI coded app instead of N8N?
I'll take this one.
Okay.
No, I'll take this one. This is a business problem. This is not a technical issue. As I showed on the presentation, this is on the level of, is it technically possible and is it actually applicational feasible, right? The most people that use N8N or make.com, the people who are the actual user of the automation, they're not technically savvy. We're talking about accounting, we're talking about go-to-market sales representative, customer support, and so on. You should, when you're developing something like this, assume that they have zero AI knowledge. So you should not be giving them access to non-compliant, non-predetermined platforms like N8N. That's one. And second of all, when you build something on your own, let's say when you delegate this to your development team, this will remove the creativity from the other team. The developer is not a customer support. He doesn't know what is the daily routine of a customer support. But if you start with an item, build an initial flow for the customer support person, then he will be able to analyze the nodes and see other possible places where automation can be applied in the same flow. If you code it, let's say frontline I would say employees will not be able to contribute or understand what is going on. So for this reason, I consider using something like NA10 best for, I would say, the simpler business logics. If you're doing code or cybersecurity or something like this, definitely use something internal or a tool which is with a specific purpose.
Okay, thank you very much. Sylvester, let us know if this answer is okay for you. The next question, but I think it's a bit different subject. So, job opportunity. Now that the project is gaining more mainstream attention and expanding across multiple social media platforms, are you planning to bring in someone to manage the community, such as social media manager or community associate?
I'll take this one. That's a great question, and this is something that we are actually actively considering. At this point, the project is actively developing, so we expect to be hiring more people on board. And to be honest, one of the key positions that we're looking for in the next couple of months is going to be exactly someone to manage the communication with between the product and the users, to show, to demonstrate the features, the capabilities, to seek for the problem, because we're not just providing a tool. With this AI implementation, we are resolving a business problem. As Angel suggested, there is a business problem that we need to resolve, and that's what we're doing. We're basically identifying the business opportunity. Someone is facing public assets; they need to have them to have them secured. Someone else, they have a different use case. They have a huge network, let's say a production warehouse. They have a huge network of interconnected systems without any public exposure. They're facing a different weakness. So we're trying to identify their problem in a very different way. So yes, indeed, we'll be looking for someone to actively manage the communications and the social relationships with between our platform and all the potential users problems that we need to resolve. So I would suggest let's talk in private on this one. Let's connect on LinkedIn.
Great, thank you very much. So one more question from Krzysztof, our member from Arca Legal. So can you also scan UTM firewalls, L2, L3 switches, or other OSE or ISO layers?
Yep, I'm going to take this one. Yes, we actually can. We currently have, API integration with FortiGate. In terms of the firewall side, it is on-premise integration. Basically, you don't need to expose your API management um, service or port to the whole internet, so the platform could connect to it. It only goes over the local network, and we're currently expanding basically the integrations with firewall providers, with another vendors as well. And on the other side, for those that don't have API management for their firewall switches, routers, and so on and so on, we have again network scanning capabilities, which work pretty much the same way with the FortiGate connector. You can deploy your, I would call it a small Docker that it is provided by us, and we'll be able to access basically the whole or of your local network premises. So again, it's not required to configure any VPNs, tunneling, and so on and so on. You just run the container or the service, and you can scan your whole local infrastructure through the agent.
Thank you very much. And one more question from Krzysztof. Can Kikimora identify after check non-compliance with ISO 27001 SOA, so statement of applicability?
Yes, I'll take this one as well. So the cool thing about the product is that we have basically feed it and trained it. We have provided it knowledge with the raw standard material. This includes ISO 27001, PCI DSS, NIS2, and so on. So it can straight on get the information straight from the source, from the standard requirements, and translate how are they applicable to your organization, to your environment, based on the data that you currently have. So once you have done the assessments on your publicly available and accessible resources, or you have deployed some agents locally, it will be able to tell you which of those pass specific requirements based on ISO and which don't.
Great, thank you. We are just on time, but the last short question: do you have integration with Qualys or Zabbix?
Yes, actually, the Qualys integration is built in. You don't have to have a license for Qualys basically to access Qualys web application scanning capabilities. We provide one with the platform, and it's included within the free tier. With Zabbix, we still don't have one yet. Basically, it is not something that was requested much, but if you see, if it makes sense for you and you have some kind of use case, we'll be happy to share more about it, and maybe we will include it within the list of integrations
By the end of the week, right?
by the end of the week. Yeah.
That's great. Thank you. We are already after time. So thank you once again for joining us today for those incredible, valuable, practical insights. Can you maybe share your contact in the chat box so everyone that would like to reach you out to they can have easy access. Just a few quick reminders before we go. So the recording of today's session will be available on our AI Chamber LinkedIn profile. I also put in the chat box few information about our upcoming events. So it will be webinar regarding AI in HR, and also Oxford debate that will take place in Warsaw. And also, please feel free to follow our profile to stay connected, get updates of our initiatives. So if you have also more questions, feel free to reach out to me. So thank you once again. So I wish you a wonderful day, stay secure, and see you next time.
Thank
you
you.
guys. Have a lovely day.
Thank you.